Let's do a year in review quilters edition. Hi there! Welcome to a new video on the Sugardoo YouTube channel. My name is Irene and today I thought it would be nice to do a year in review and then for quilting, for creative people. Probably creative people like you because you're watching a video on a quilting channel, and I think it's especially fun to do a quilt, to do a year in review as a quilter, as a maker, because a year is quite a long time in which we can work on loads of projects. So looking back and seeing what we made and what we worked on can help us enjoy it again and be proud of it and see the fun things, see the hard parts. So that's what we're going to do today. I wrote down some questions and you can go through them with me. Just pause the video and maybe journal a little bit about it after the question pops up, and make a review of your past year of 2022 with me. So let's dive in and yeah, just chat about some of these questions. So the first one that I wrote down is, what did you work on? So like I said, a year is a long time and you can do a lot of things in a year, and I think it's nice to look back. Maybe it helps to go through your Instagram pictures if you have an Instagram account, or go through pictures that you shared with quilting friends, or just go through your quilting space and see the projects that you worked on. They don't all need to be finished. You can also write down the projects that you are still working on or that you made some progress on. And yeah, I think it's nice to look at those things that you made, that you created, that you maybe designed, or that you picked the fabrics for, and just to look at your makings and be proud that you did that, that you took the time for you to quilt and to make and create and to enjoy that. That's something really special that you're doing for yourself, I think, as a creative person, that you take the space and the time to make and create, because it's so so good for us to be creative and to make. So looking back at those projects that you created and that you made, yeah, I think that, just for me at least, that puts a smile on my face to feel proud of the things I made and the fun that I had, that you, while working on a project, that you remember maybe the things you learned or the fun that you had while making a project like that. So going through those projects, maybe you can pick a few that you are the most proud of and wonder why that is. What about that project makes you feel proud? Is it because you learned a new technique? Or is it because you made it for a very special someone? Or maybe it was very challenging and you pushed through and you did finish it. Or maybe it's your very first quilting project, the project that you did. Just give it some time to think about it, and maybe you can write it down and find out why you are proud of them. So a few of the projects that I really liked that I worked on this last year are here. So the most previous ones are my penguins and the penguin parade quilt along, and I am especially proud of this one, the Alabella quilt, because it was a long time that I started and finished something for one of my kids, and really finished it, so with the binding and all, because I have a lot of projects that are just halfway done. I'm not such a good finisher, so I really like that I pushed through with the quilting as well. So first I made it this is quilted with a grid. I'm not sure if you can see it from there, but first I quilted it with the lines a little bit further apart. Then I wasn't completely happy, so I quilted lines in between. It was a lot of more work, but now I'm completely happy with how it turned out. And I took the time to stitch on the binding by hand, and yeah, just the whole project. I really am so happy with how it turned out, and that I made it for our little girl Ella. So yeah, and she also really likes it. Every time she sees it, she points out the penguins and says ming 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 ming. So yeah, that's a really special one. And this one as well, this is the 1 2 3 quilt along, and I am very happy with this quilt because of course it reminds me of the quilt along. And this quilt along with the 1 2 3 quilt along, it was very special for me because so many quilters tried machine quilting and quilting with rulers, and really stretched themselves to learn something new. And I thought that was so amazing that you all joined in and took on the challenge and made something amazing, and that you learned all those new quilting techniques, which is not easy if you're doing that for the first time or even the second, third time. So yeah, it was so much fun. And during this quilt along again, I noticed again that I love to teach and to make videos on quilting, and yeah, so this one is a beautiful reminder of that I really liked. Yeah, I enjoyed it so much to do this quilt along with you and to learn all those new things in quilting. And maybe when you are making an overview of the projects that you did this year, you end up with a list of things that aren't finished yet, that you maybe started or that you started a long time ago and that are still laying around. It's nice to make a work in progress list for that, and maybe you can make one and save it for next week, because next week there's a new video coming up, and we will talk about the plans for 2023, and I'll also talk about what I am going to do with my work in progress list next year. So if you make your work in progress list and join me back in next week, then we'll go talk about that one. So a follow-up question that maybe pops up when you look at your project is, what was really hard last year? And you can also answer this question for your personal life, but also in quilting. It's up to you how you want to review your year, of course. But when you think about what was hard last year, you can also think about what made you push through, and how did you get through that hard part. It can be something in quilting that you were stuck and that you didn't know how to continue, or it could be something more personal, like for me that was that I had to scale down the hours that I spent on shuri-do and on working, that I really had to take time for myself. That was very hard, and I'm super happy that I did that. So yeah, maybe you have something that happened in your life this past year, and then you can look back on it and see how did you get through and what helped. For me, that was support from family and friends, and of course also from you guys. When I shared about it, I got hundreds and hundreds of lovely emails of people sharing their story and wishing me good luck and get well soon messages, and that really helped so much. And it's nice to look back on that, because it can help us, whether it is while quilting or in personal life, it can help us learn what do we need when life gets tough again. What helped us in the past to get through, and what can we fall back to when hard things happen again. I also learned how important sport was for me. So I started running this summer, and every time I go running, it feels like I'm going for a therapy session. It feels so good. So when I'm not feeling so good, I know that running helps for me, and that is something that I can jump into. And yeah, so looking back to the things that were hard can give you some insights of what can help you to figure out how to get through things that will come up maybe next year. You never know. You never know what happens. And also with the quilting, you can look back to maybe projects that you got stuck on and how did you got unstuck. So maybe it was quilting friends that you could go to for support, or maybe you found tutorials on the internet that helped you, or maybe it was carving out time, maybe 10 minutes, 50 minutes a day that you work on something, or half an hour. Yeah, and then you can make a little support, well, how do you say that, emergency list for yourself, that when you're ever going to be stuck again with your quilting project, what are the things that you can do to get unstuck. And this is also in a printable, so you can check that out to make this little emergency list for yourself. So let's see what else is on the list. Yes, a question that also goes for personal life and for quilting as well. What did you really enjoy this year? So you can ask that question in the form of what was the most fun thing that happened, but I tend to find that question a little bit hard, because then you have to pick the funnest thing. Sometimes it's easier to just jot down some things that come to mind, and they don't necessarily need to be the funnest thing. There can be a lot of fun things that happen. Yeah, so what did you really enjoy this year? And quilting wise, I already shared that I really enjoyed how everybody learns so many new techniques and makes such big steps in quilting with this quilt along. That was a very, very fun thing that I enjoyed a lot. And a different thing that I enjoyed so much was going to quilt market with my mom. So I went to Houston to quilt market with my mom this year, and it was awesome. It was such a wonderful time to travel with her and to go there. It was just lovely. And something else that was so cool this year was that I went on 2 quilting retreats. One that I did a weekend with 2 other quilting friends, and one that I organize every year with my mom. And this year we were with 18 ladies, 18 quilting friends, and both of those weekends it was so much fun. And of course many more fun things happened and more things that I enjoyed, but those things are really highlights, I guess, for this year. So my next question is, what would you like to do more of? So what did you really enjoy this year that you would like to bring with you to next year, and that you would like to do more of? Maybe it can be something like you made a mini quilt and you love that. So then you can bring that with you to next year and do more of that. I have a very small project lay here that I also wanted to share. I really liked making this. It's a pincushion. It's such a tiny project, but it was a lot of fun to really take the time for those tiny pieces. And the quilting also was fun because it's you can do intricate quilting, but since it's such a small project, it won't take me forever to finish. So yeah, this was something that I really liked, and I think I would really like to do more tiny projects in the next year. So that is one side of that question, and the other side is what did you not enjoyed so much that you want to leave behind in 2022. So maybe there are projects that you worked on, or maybe there are things that you did or things that happened that you would be okay to leave behind in 2022. Maybe it's habits that you do that you would love to leave behind. And the first step to do that is to be aware that you want to leave that behind. And that's the first step, just to notice it. And to be able to change it, you first have to notice. So yeah, so I guess all these questions go two ways. You can do them for your personal life and also do them for quilting. And I think for my personal life, what I would like to leave behind in 2022 is it's a little bit double-sided. It's the feeling that I want to do it all. There are always so many ideas in my head, so many plans that I like to do. I can think of so many quilt-alongs that I would love to host, or projects that I want to make turn into a book, or so many things, and that I all want to do them now. That is something that I would love to leave behind and just take it week by week and see what can be done in that week and be okay with that. So that is something that I would love to take with me to the next year to work on, because that brings so much ease and peace to my weeks and to my days, just to take it day by day and week by week and see what can happen. So making my plan or making my schedule a little bit more kind of fluid, that when something doesn't work out, it will work out later. So yeah, that's something I would like to leave behind in 2022. A next question. Then the question, what are you grateful for? I think this is such a powerful question, and maybe it's more personal life related than quilting related, but it's so powerful to write down things you are grateful for. And they can be tiny things, like drinking a hot cup of tea in the morning. It can be as tiny as that, or it can be as big as having a heart full of love for my family and my kids. What are you grateful for? Writing that down, I think does something. It does something because you are so aware of the things you're grateful for. And you can extend that question by, when you write it down, maybe you write down you're thankful for your kids. They can expand on that question by why. Why are you grateful for your kids? That makes it even more, go into that question even deeper. So yeah, I think that's a really nice one to take some time for. This one is again a little bit more quilting related. I think, what are new things that you learned? Well, it can also go for personal life. So what are new things that you learned? Did you learn a new technique this year? Did you learn, maybe you joined the first quilt along and you never knew what a quilt along is? Did you learn how to do a binding on your quilt? It can be techniques. It can be, maybe you learn about color, about picking colors, about color theory. Maybe you learned about a quilt guild that is close to you and then you joined. So what are the new fun things that you learned this year? I learned to sew a Manx block. I started a hand quilting project and I sewed a Manx block, and I'm still having so much fun sewing them. So that's something new I learned. And this question could sound a little bit negative, but I think you can take a very positive, what is it called? A positive outlook from it. So the question is, what was a project that you liked the least to work on? So what project did you really not like to work on, quilting wise? And the positive part is when you turn that around. So why did you not like that? And what can you learn from it? So in one of the, I'm not sure if it's a previous Q&A or a Q&A that's still coming up, I talked about color in a project, and I talked about a crochet project that I worked on once, and I really did not finish it. I did not like working on it, so I did not finish it. And the reason was, it was kind of a negative feeling that I had with that project. And the reason was, it turned out, because I did not like all the colors in there. So there was quite some purple in there, and that's really not my color. So the more I worked on it and the bigger the project got, the more purple there was inside, and the more I disliked working on it. So what I learned from that is to, well, first, not to make a very big project when I'm working with the color I don't like, and the second, just try to use colors that I really love. So even though you're having maybe a project lying around that really kind of annoys you because you don't want to work on it or you don't like it anymore, just go into that and think, why is that, and what can I learn from it, and how can I take that with me to next year, and to maybe prevent that from happening again, or maybe you can apply some changes so that you start liking the project again and that you can still finish it. But again, being aware and noting why something is, that can sometimes help to move on with the project. And then a last question I have for the year in review is about making time to quilt. So were you able to make time to quilt, to make time for yourself, to be creative? And are you happy with the amount of time that you created for yourself, or would you like it to be more? I think that's a good question to think about, because quilting and being creative is such a powerful and good thing. Studies show that when you're making something with your hand, that is stress reducing, and that is good for a lot of things. I will have to look up the study to quote it exactly, but there's a lot of benefits from there for your mental health, for your self-esteem as well. So a lot of good things come from creating. It makes us happy, it brings a lot of joy, and it does give a good feeling of yourself when you make something. So I think when you love quilting, it is really good to make time for that, and that can be a hard thing. So when you look back at the past year, are you happy with the amount of quilting that you create for yourself? Or would you like it to be more? And if so, how could you do that? Are there things that can be reduced in time, like maybe time on social media that you could also spend on quilting? Or would it be possible to carve out little time sections every now and then? It doesn't have to be a half a day or a full day of quilting to be able to make projects, of course. You can just do 50 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day. There are a lot of options. So when you would love to create more and have more time for creating, then it could be nice to look into your day and see where there's space to do that and to create that time for yourself, because I really think it's a good thing. And when I look back at my year, I know that I loved every moment that I sat behind my sewing machine, or were hand stitching, or embroidering, or crocheting, or knitting. Those moments were also such happy moments for me that really bring me joy and made me feel calm. And well, when the quilting is going well and your thread is not breaking all the time, those moments we don't count, of course. But the other moments, They really are. I know that I love those so much. So yeah, that's why I make it an important thing that I make it a priority to carve out time for myself. Of course, this is my work, so my work days are filled with being in the studio, but not always being behind my sewing machine, because there's a lot that also goes on over here. So it's not that I'm sitting behind my sewing machine all day, and that I also have to make time and to make the choice to hop behind my sewing machine and to do some actual quilting. But I know that I love it, so it's worth it to make some time for that. And I really hope that you can make time for that as well if you love quilting as well. Those are questions that I had in my year in review, and go to the link in the comment section down below to download your printable, and you can write along with me and journal about it a little bit more. Then next week I will be back here and to chat about the new projects and the things that are coming up in 2023 and how I want my year to be. And I think it's fun to look ahead and yeah, think about what we want for the next year. And also we will be discussing the work in progresses and what's going to happen with that within Sugar and how you can join in. Wishing you a few wonderful days of the rest of this year, and I'll see you back here in the new year in a week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of Sugar in this last year. I really appreciate you being here and supporting my channel, supporting Sugar, and yeah, I really love that. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye!